Oh, there we go. Happy Sunday, everybody. Trina, hey girl, hey. Uncle Nathaniel. Peaceful greetings. Hi, y'all. Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Yes, baby.
You may not talk.
What's that?
Move your laptop.
Okay, don't get up here, Paul. Let me see you try to type in this pencil, girl. Okay, there you go. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, beautiful people. Shalom, Auntie. Blessings, Levine. All right, y'all. It is August the 8th, 2021. Today it is day 227 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 896. Today we are reading Ezekiel 7, 8, and 9. Then we're going to pick up where we left off at on Fossilized Customs on page 292. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and do the Shema and get started here. All right. What's this? Scoop this. Bring up this. Y'all enjoying your weekend so far? Y'all getting some rest? I know some people had to work today. All right, y'all. Shema, remember, it's found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Remember to read the full chapter, right? So you can get everything. I just pulled out the gist and the meat of everything. But I always say, y'all, read the whole chapter so you can see everything, right? All right. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the mighty one of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your mighty one, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall talk with them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our mighty one, as he has commanded us. All right, y'all, remember, every so often I remind y'all, remember how it says, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Remember, as a sign upon your hand represents the action. The sign as a frontlet between our eyes represents the mind, what we're thinking about, what we meditate on, what we think about is what we eventually act out, right? The right hand of action, the actual carrying out in physical form human life, right? So if you're meditating on something, whether it's good or bad, right, depending on how deep it goes and how intent you are in thinking about it and how consistently you think about and meditate on it, you're going to begin to act it out, right? So that's why Yahuwah tells us to fill our mind, to think about, to meditate on his words, his instructions. Why? Because we will make our way successful before us, right? We begin to act out those good instructions, and thereby we will benefit. Our lives will benefit. Our households will benefit, right? Wherever we live will benefit, right? And when you let's see, a sign upon your hand, frontlets between your eyes, write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. That means you command your household in the ways of the most holy, right? You teach your children at every turn. Turn everything into a teaching lesson, right? The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And just you move around every day, even in the children's shenanigans and the husband and wife shenanigans. We'll remember some things. We're like, oh, we can apply this here, right? And we just kind of learn and we grow, right? Okay. So let's pop up Ezekiel. Shot 7. 7. All right, y'all. I'm reading from the NLT, the New Living Translation. I just like the NLT. I like the way it's it's like modern day lingo for us. The Tina Shalom says it's modern day lingo. I know some people, they be like, oh, you only use the KJV. Okay. The reason we did the first year, we read through using the KJV. Then the second year, we read through with the Sefer, which reads almost just like the KJV, except that it restores some of the names, right, in Hebrew. Well, it restores all the names in Hebrew, but it still essentially reads like the KJV. I use the KJV and I used to read the NIV a lot, but I've taken more of a liking to the New Living Translation, because even in the New Living Translation, although there are still some things that I think are mistranslated, so to speak, it's a lot closer to the original meaning of how it should have been interpreted than the NIV and the KJV, right? And some people that's really just kind of getting into it and just reading over scriptures, sometimes they might be how I was when I first started, the thus thou arts, and they trip you up, and it just, sometimes some people just can't make it through, right? I used to be like that. When I first started reading the Bible, I had a KJV, but I would just kind of like skim it, little girl. That's all we had, KJV, just kind of skimming through stuff, aside from the reference Bibles. But when I really started reading the Bible for real, like really, really taking it serious to heart, was when I joined the military, and I found myself to be away from everyone and everything that I love, because right after I got out of boot camp, I was out doing workups in the Navy. I was out on my first med cruise, right? I'll never forget it. When I found out they stationed me to the Roosevelt, and I got out there. I was there about a month before we started workups. I think they had just got out the shipyards, right? So I missed their whole time of shore duty, getting right to work, doing the workups, out to sea and stuff. And then I found out we was about to go out for a med cruise. 6 months, I was sick. I had already had Elijah. I was like, yeah, I ain't doing this. I was calling my mama from the workup. We was on the month workup. I remember calling her from the ship crying. I was like, about to send us out for 6 months. I don't know. Maybe I can get it, because I got a sign-on bonus when I came in. I was like, maybe I can give them the sign-on bonus back. Me, 19 years old, still real, extremely dumb, right? I'm thinking I could just get them this little sign-on bonus back, and maybe they at least take back this 1 year. Because I signed up for 4, but they gave me a sign-on bonus if I extended it for a year. I'm like, oh, yes. Now, high school, you give me how much money? Just for an extra year? Yes, right? I'm not thinking, sis, you might go to war. Like, you joining the military. I was thinking, steady job, you can't fire me. I done already got pregnant and had a child, right? Because I had multiple, before I joined the military, I had multiple jobs, and it was just not cutting it. I moved out of my mama's house, had my own apartment and stuff. Couldn't keep up my apartment. Called my mom. Look, my rent was only $345 a month. I wish, right? Rent was $345 a month. I couldn't even keep that up. I was working like Paramount movie theaters. I had a child, I thought I was balling out, right? I was like, got my own place, got my own car, and I got a child. I'm grown. Let me go to Rent-A-Center, rent up all my furniture. I was renting stuff, my paychecks. I'm not thinking about none of this stuff, right? So I rented up all this apartment full of furniture. Got a 2-bedroom, son over there. I got my own bedroom so I can send whenever I want to. I was throwing parties on the weekends, like filling up the parties, like some high school friends filling up the bathtub with ice bags and liquor. I had one of them bought me a blender just for the parties for the weekend. They're blending up drinks. Got this bomb radio system, living in an apartment down. I'm glad I was cool with all the people that kind of lived around me where I stayed at. Oh, y'all come in too. It was all hood. Coming in, getting drinks. Oh, they're in the bathroom in the bathtub. Lord, have mercy. That lasted, let's see, how long they let you get away without paying your rent. I think I had a good, let's see, first couple months I kind of pushed it real. I was late. I don't think I was ever on time paying my rent. I think they threatened to evict me at about the 6-month mark, right? So, and then here come Rent-A-Center knocking on the door, and I'm thinking, why do they keep? I'm like, shoot, I gotta pay for this furniture, right? My little job wasn't cutting it. Everything, I started thinking about everything. Like, girl, what have you gotten yourself into? Did you not calculate any of this stuff? Like I really had. And I'm just thinking, I'm free. Yes, I ain't got my sisters and them barging in my room all the time and stuff. Here I go back, ask my mama to help me pay rent and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not gonna work. I was like, Pam, you supposed to be way smarter than this. What are you doing? Right? So finally got all that wrapped up. I finally let them come. I let them come get the furniture and stuff. But I held on to it because during all that time, that's why I had like this whole awakening. And I'm like, you know what? I got to do something I ain't going to get fired from. Something that's going to pay me more. And I'm like, you know what? I think I might join the military. I ain't thinking about war or nothing. I'm just thinking steady paycheck and benefits. They're going to help me get a place. I'm going to be able to keep it. Steady everything, right? So I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to join the military. And I had only thought about it because my dad was a Marine. I'm like, oh. So I went down there. The Marines was right there waiting. They said, hey. I said, no. I said, my dad was a Marine. I am not coming to talk to y'all. I was actually going to talk to the Air Force, right? But they were out that day. They didn't have Army in that. No, they did. They had Army and the Air Force was out that day. And then I remember Petty Officer Perkins from the United States Navy sitting right in there. Come on in here, sister. Yeah, let me share with you what we got going on in here. And his bubbly attitude and stuff kind of drew me in. He was a jokester. So I was like, okay. I was like, I ain't come to talk to you, but you know when they'll be back. He said, we don't care about them. Come on in here. We better than them. We got our. Look. This is how he got me. He said, we the Navy. We got our own Air Force. I'm like, no, y'all don't. He said, yes, we do. He said, they just got Air Force. We got Air Force and we got ships, right? He said, and the Marines rock with us. I was like, oh, really? And so he pulled me in. He said, look, this. He kind of went through everything. He said, and you get to choose your own job. You get to choose what you want to do. I said, really? He said, you got to take a test, So I took the test. I was never really a good test taker. But then when he told me, I took my test. And he was like, okay, well, according to your score, you qualify for some of these rates right here, the seaman rates, or you qualify as airman, right? Yeah, I was like, I was going to go to the Air Force. Let's choose the airman side, right? This was my whole thinking theology, right? Let's choose the airman side. I was like, okay. He said, well, you come in right here. I think I went in as an E3. E1 is the lowest. I went in as an E3. Because my test was like a little bit higher than most. And I think I wasn't even real serious while taking it. I'm just like marking stuff off on the ASVAB. But I passed it. I should have really studied it so I would have went in at like another rate or something. But it is what it is. So he said, oh yeah, well here you're going as an airman E3. He said you're working like probably one of the flight divisions and stuff like that. He said, and you can kind of, like the first couple years, before you make rate, you're going to study for a test. Choose the test you want to, or choose the rate you want to study for. And once you pass that test, they'll change your division. I was like, well, okay, So he said, but here in the air division, you will get the feel and see what all of these different departments. So I'm like, okay. But anyway, long story short, that's how I got into the military. So I was actually able to hold on to my apartment. I think it was maybe like I want to say almost a month before I had to actually leave. I was trying to hold on to everything because I was going to have to go back to my mama's house. Not that that was a problem, but I had already moved out. Sisters had taken over the room that was mine. So I'd probably be couch bound till I'm about to roll out, right? So, but yeah, one thing about none of that stuff, and of course the military wasn't going for that, giving us the signing bonus back. Like, is she serious? Yeah, so all my foolishness, I got all kinds of stories for all kind of events in life, and I'm just kind of rambling on before we get started. I even forgot why I even started telling y'all about that. Oh, I think talking about the shimmer and those things that you think about, it'll affect your actions. That's how I started telling you about all that stuff. But anyway, y'all, I'm here today. I actually got out the military in 2003. So, but yeah, they never went for that, giving a signing bonus back. They let me. It was only $2,000 too, but that seemed like a whole lot to me at that time. Okay, y'all, let's get started with the reading. Ezekiel chapter 7. Son, what you need? You need something? Okay, all right. The coming in. Then this message came to me from Yahuwah. Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to Israel. The end is here. Wherever you look, east, west, north, or south, your land is finished. No hope remains, for I will unleash my anger against you. I will call you to account for all your detestable sins. I will turn my eyes away and show no pity. I will repay you for all your detestable sins. Then you will know that I am Yahuwah. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Disaster after disaster is coming your way. The end has come. It has finally arrived. Your final doom is waiting. O people of Israel, the day of your destruction is dawning. The time has come. The day of trouble is near. Shouts of anguish will be heard on the mountains, no, not shouts of joy. Soon I will pour out my fury on you and unleash my anger against you. I will call you to account for all your detestable sins. I will turn my eyes away and show no pity. I will repay you for all your detestable sins. Then you will know that it is I, Yahuwah, who is striking the blow. The day of judgment is here. Your destruction awaits. The people's wickedness and pride have blossomed to full flower. Their violence has grown into a rod that will beat them for their wickedness. None of these proud and wicked people will survive. All their wealth and prestige will be swept away. Yes, the time has come. The day is here. Buyers should not rejoice over bargains, nor sellers grieve over losses, for all of them will fall under my terrible anger. Even if the merchants survive, they would never return to their businesses. For what Yahuwah has said applies to everyone. It will not be changed. Not one person whose life is twisted by sin will ever recover. The desolation of Israel. The trumpet calls Israel's army to mobilize, but no one listens. For my fury is against them all. There is war outside the city, and disease and famine within. Those without the city walls will be killed by enemy swords. Those inside the city will die of famine and disease. The survivors who escape to the mountains will moan like doves, weeping for their sins. Their hands will hang limp. Their knees will be weak as water. They will dress themselves in burlap. Horror and shame will cover them. They will shave their heads in sorrow and remorse. They will throw their money in the streets, tossing it out like worthless trash. Their silver and gold won't save them. On that day of Yahuwah, their gold and silver won't save them on that day of Yahuwah's anger. It will neither satisfy nor feed them, for their greed can only trip them up. They were proud of their beautiful jewelry and used and used it to make detestable idols and vile images. Therefore, I will make all their wealth disgusting to them. I will give it as plunder to foreigners, to the most wicked of nations, and they will defile it. I will turn my eyes from them as these robbers invade and defile my treasured land. Prepare chains for my people, for the land is bloodied by terrible crimes. Jerusalem is filled with violence. I will bring the most ruthless of nations to occupy their homes. I will break down their proud fortresses and defile their sanctuaries. Terror and trembling will overcome my people. They will look for peace, but not find it. Calamity will follow. Rumor will follow rumor. They will look in vain for a vision from the prophets. They will receive no teaching from the priests, and no counsel from the leaders. The king and the prince will stand helpless, weeping in despair, and the people's hands will tremble with fear. I will bring on them the evil they have done to others, and they will receive the punishment they so richly deserve. Then they will know that I am Yahuwah. Second chapter, Ezekiel chapter 8. Tony, shalom. You've been here for a few minutes. I just forgot to say hello to you, brother. Idolatry in the temple. Then on September 17th, during the 6th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity, while the leaders of Judah were in my home, Yahuwah took hold of me. I saw a figure that appeared to be a man. From what appeared to be his waist down, he looked like a burning flame. From the waist up, he looked like gleaming amber. He reached out what seemed to be a hand and took me by the hair. Then the Spirit lifted me up into the sky and transported me to Jerusalem in a vision from Yahuwah. I was taken to the north gate of the inner courtyard of the temple, where there is a large idol that has made Yahuwah very jealous. Suddenly, the glory of the God of Israel was there, just as I had seen it before in the valley. Then Yahuwah said to me, Son of man, look toward the north. So I looked, and there to the north, beside the entrance to the gate near the altar, stood the idol that made Yahuwah so jealous. Son of man, he said, do you see what they are doing? Do you see the detestable sins the people of Israel are committing to drive me from my temple? But come, and you will see even more detestable sins than these. Then he brought me to the door of the temple courtyard, where I could see a hole in the wall. He said to me, Now, son of man, dig into the wall. So I dug into the wall and found a hidden doorway. Go in, he said, and see the wicked and detestable sins they are committing in there. So I went in and saw the walls covered with engravings of all kinds of crawling animals and detestable creatures. I also saw the various idols worshipped by the people of Israel. 70 leaders of Israel were standing there with Jezaniah, son of Shaphan, in the center. Each of them held an incense burner from which a cloud of incense rose above their heads. Then Yahuwah said to me, Son of man, have you seen what the leaders of Israel are doing with their idols in dark rooms? They are saying Yahuwah doesn't see us. He has deserted our land. Then Yahuwah added, Come, and I will show you even more detestable sins than these. He brought me to the north gate of Yahuwah's temple, and some women were sitting there weeping for the god Tammuz. Have you seen this? He asked me. But I will show you even more detestable sins than these. And do you realize, clearly y'all know by now, y'all been here for a while, as we've been going over this from the beginning. Who they are weeping for in the church. This is exactly everything what they're doing in church. This is the same thing. They are weeping. They weeping over baby Jesus? No, my G. They weeping over Tammuz, my G. Hold on. Verse 14. He brought me to the north gate of Yahuwah's temple, and some women were sitting there, weeping for the god Tammuz. Have you seen this? He asked. But I will show you even more detestable sins than these. Then he brought me into the inner courtyard of Yahuwah's temple. At the entrance to the sanctuary, between the entry room and the bronze altar, there were about 25 men with their backs to the sanctuary of Yahuwah. They were facing east, bowing low to the ground, worshiping the sun. Have you seen this, Son of Man? He asked. Is it nothing to the people of Judah that they commit these detestable sins, leading the whole nation into violence, thumbing their noses at me and provoking my anger? Therefore I will respond in fury. I will neither pity nor spare them, and though they cry for mercy, I will not listen. Clearly, we still know people doing facing the east, bowing to the sun, my G. We know who be doing that. Some of our people that's been led astray been doing that. Right along with the people that be doing that. Ezekiel chapter 9, last chapter for today. The slaughter of idolaters. Then Yahuwah thundered, bring on the men appointed to punish the city. Tell them to bring their weapons with them. 6 men soon appeared from the upper gate that faces north, each carrying a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man dressed in linen, who carried a writer's case at his side. They all went into the temple courtyard and stood beside the bronze altar. Whenever y'all see that man in linen show up, y'all better know y'all being recorded, my G. Very, very detailed notes are being taken by this man dressed in linen. 6 men soon appeared from the upper gate that faces north, each carrying a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man dressed in linen, who carried a writer's case at his side. They all went into the temple courtyard and stood beside the bronze altar. Then the glory of Yahuwah rose up from between the cherubim where it had rested and moved to the entrance of the temple. And Yahuwah called to the man dressed in linen who was carrying the writer's case. He said to him, walk through the streets of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of all who weep and sigh because of the detestable sins being committed in their city. Would we be one of the ones that's marked by this man in linen? Would we get that mark? Like, yeah, I'm one of the ones that's going ahead and put Yahuwah's mark on you. You are in complete turmoil because what is happening and what your people are doing, right? Let me read it. Let me read it again. Verse 3. Then the glory of Yahuwah, the God of Israel, rose up from between the cherubim where it had rested and moved to the entrance of the temple. And Yahuwah called to the man dressed in linen who was carrying the writer's case. He said to him, walk through the streets of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of all who weep and sigh because of the detestable sins being committed in their city. Then I heard Yahuwah say to the other man, follow him through the city and kill everyone whose forehead is not marked. Show no mercy, have no pity, kill them all, young and old, girls and women and little children, but do not touch anyone with the mark. Began right here at the temple. So they began killing the 70 leaders. Remember that? Where you see in the New Testament, Shalom, Mom. You remember where it says, judgment begins at my house? Where y'all think they got that from? They got that from Yah. All the way back here, right? He said, first off, go mark my people. The ones who were actually keeping to the commands and who were completely torn because of all the sins of all their brethren and sistren who would not keep into it and defiling this land. He said, go mark them, set them aside for me, right? And all the men in black, follow the man in white linen. After he marked all my people, you slaughter everybody else, right? He said, start at my house, right? My house would probably be full to all my people, all my children, right? He said, those who keep my commands, those are the ones who really belong to me. Everybody else, have no mercy, show no pity, young and old, boy and girl, kill them all. Just don't touch the ones with my mark on them, right? Woo! Let me read it again, verse 5. Then I heard Yahuwah say to the other man, follow him. Follow who? Follow the man in white linen with the ink pen. Then I heard Yahuwah say to the other man, follow him through the city and kill everyone whose forehead is not marked. Show no mercy, have no pity, kill them all, old and young, girls and women and little children, but do not touch anyone with a mark. Begin right here at the temple. So they began by killing the 70 leaders. Shayla, hey girl, hey. Defile the temple, Yahuwah commanded. Fill its courtyards with corpses. Go. So they went and began killing throughout the city. While they were out killing, I was all alone. I fell face down on the ground and cried out, "Oh, sovereign Lord, will your fury against Jerusalem wipe out everyone left in Israel?" Then he said to me, "The sins of the people of Israel and Judah are very, very great. The entire land is full of murder. The city is filled with injustice. They are saying Yahuwah doesn't see it. Yahuwah has abandoned the land, so I will not spare them or have pity on any of them. I will fully repay them for all they have done." Then the man in linen clothing who carried the writer's case reported back and said, "I have done as you have commanded." And that is what we pause for today, right? Y'all see him show up in y'all dreams. Y'all better get it together. Oh, shoot. I hope you coming to mark me. Y'all ain't playing with y'all. He ain't playing with none of us. All right, y'all. Page 292 in Fossilized Customs, y'all. Okay, we was talking about the Nicolaitans and Nicolaitans. Okay, so it's going through today. Oh, this one. Break down some translations and transliterations with the Strong's numbers. Okay, y'all. Okay, so this is still, although it went into the Nicolaitans and the Strongholds, it's still talking about like Yahuwah's name, right? But he didn't like sidestep. He's tying in what the Nicolaitans and their strongholds or their lording over the people actually did to them, and how Yahuwah's name was taken to ruin, right? Or they began to take it in vain by not speaking it at all. So it's just going into more details on how that process actually happened and the mental strongholds and stuff. All right. So it's looked like it's giving more definitions and translations. Okay, so all right, y'all, stick with me today. Page 292, at the middle of the page, and it's primary Nicolaitan doctrine or apostolic succession, right? Okay. The truth is, Yahuwah has no headquarters on earth at this time. There is no succession, kingdom, or government that can be seen, no line of apostolic authority. There's a huge apostasy going on, though. Yahuwah's spirit guides us into all truth, not an organization, society, or denomination, right? And I can attest to that, because I know being raised in the church, they tell you that you absolutely must be under the leadership of a pastor somewhere. Now, I get that. But here's also something that I understand. The way I understood, and I'm going to say the way Yahuwah taught me to understand it. I wouldn't necessarily say that that's wrong, right? It's still kind of following the same method. Not necessarily that you should have been in like a church or a temple or whatever, but listen to the example. Just like when we're born into the world, we're born to parents, right? People who are older than us, who know more than us, should be teaching us the right ways of living and life and teaching us Yahuwah's commands, right? That's why we have parents. That's why children aren't just born, you willy-nilly, you fending for yourself from the time you come out the womb, right? There's a certain process of growth that we have in even in the animal kingdom. Although the animal kingdom babies, they become a little more independent, a whole lot faster than what human babies, like some are born and they run in that same day, like, how in the world, right? That's just how they were made. We get a little more grace as humans here, where we can stay with our parents for years, even up to 18. Some even stay for even after 18 years, right? But during this time of tutelage, or the time that you're living in your father and your mother's home, you should be learning, being prepared for the real world, so to speak, right? And the real world is like you're actually out there independently by yourself. But the teachings from your father and mother should always be with you, right? That's the same way that I look at it in the church. And people say, well, like, you're supposed to be there always. I get the logic and what they're saying about that, okay. But there comes a point where you don't need to be in mom and dad's house anymore. You can go back for wisdom and, I'm going to come stay the weekend with you. Yes, baby.
I wake up first.
Yes, you did. But there's a time where you have to grow and get from out of their house, right? And you begin to transverse the world by yourself, right? And it's another level of growth that happens. But if you're always living with dad and mom, or would depend on how you grew up, it's like you never become independent. You never really grow and experience certain things that you would experience on an independent level. Bella, you're going to have to pause this or turn it down to get headphones, Pootie. It's too loud. So it's the same way with the church, but people that constantly say, and I mean, shucks, you got leadership that say you a vagabond if you ain't under somebody. I'm like, but okay, so I get that at a certain point, where does then you would say he will lead and guide us, right? So at what point do we really detach ourselves from you and we begin to allow Yahuwah to lead us, and not your faulty, not that everything they teach you is faulty, because it's not. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But that's how.
I said I want to get something. Them just ate it all along.
So what's the attitude towards me, sis?
I'm trying to eat something inside that pet back.
You can get one. Wasn't anything left in there? Then, well, I think actually Jeremiah came down. I actually came down when Jeremiah was eating the rest of them. So you might want to go talk to your brethren. I mean, you ain't going to get it back. He ate it already. I'll fix you something in a second. So, but there should be a point in time where we become independent, not necessarily independent of the good teachings, right? Because there are teachers while we're out by ourselves, right? So it's the same way. But some people, they get in a church or get in a place and they're just stuck there, right? It's like you have to be here. You have to always be attached to them. And I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I ain't even going to get into it. But you can even see some people, even when they start their own individual videos or something, they're always, not that you shouldn't give praise to y'all, I ain't talking about that, but when they start giving praise, I want to give praise to my deacon, my pastor, his pastor wife, and all them over here at this great assembly and everything. Yeah, many blessings to everybody that. And I'm like, why you got to do all that? I was like, people really don't care about that. They really don't. If you got some truth to speak the truth, go on about your business, right? But we want to see how you have grown. Like, what have you learned? How have you put this in practice in your life? Like, what type of example are you being to those who are coming after you? Like, because especially if you grew up and you have siblings, right? And they kind of watch you as you grow and as you mature. So as you're growing and you're coming out of your parents' home, your siblings have an example to watch. Like, okay, Pam did this. Like, I was, even with my foolishness, remember the little story I shared at the beginning of me, hand parties and stuff, inside of joining the military, I realized siblings were, although they weren't there, they realized Pam had to come back to the house. Sis, you got out there, what was you doing out there? I ain't gonna be here for long. I done got myself hooked up with another thing. I'm going to the military because I wasn't doing something right when I went out there first, right? Just doing all the wrong stuff, right? Sometimes we leave out our parents' house and we think, oh, we free, we're going to do whatever we want to do. We broken free from your rules and we just going to live life. Then we get out there, forget everything, momentarily forget everything your parents done taught you and realize this don't work. We done find ourselves in some trouble. Mom, Dad, I need some help. I can't pay my bills. They about to come repo my car. They about to put me out. They say if I don't pay the rent, I got 2 weeks to pay the rent. And if I don't do it, I got to get out. The realest of the people, they already knocking at my door. They've been knocking at my door for the last month. I'm hiding like I'm hiding from the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? Ducking. See them come like, oh my gosh, it was a terrible way to live. It really was. Having anxiety attacks, not knowing when you wake up in the morning if your vehicle gonna be out there. Let me tell you, they finally got me one day. Oh, they got me. But I knew they was coming. There wasn't really nothing I could do at this point because I wasn't even keeping up the maintenance on my vehicle. So it wasn't running. I think I had blew my engine because I wasn't even doing, baby girl. Here. I wasn't even following the basic rules of car care. Get your freaking oil change, right? Hold on. Tootie, what do you at? Oh, here you go. Sis, what is your volume? Okay, you gonna have to go up. You gonna have to. Where's your volume?
You mean my black thing?
Huh?
You mean my black thing?
Oh, we're gonna have to touch the screen. Hold on. Okay, there you go. I wasn't even following the basic rules to keep stuff running, like getting the oil change. So I think it had blew my engine. It wasn't running. And I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't get my first cell phone till I got out of boot camp and got to my first duty station, right? So I was still using pay phones. I remember this day, walking to the pay phone. I think I was going to the pay phone to call my mama to see if she could come pick me up because my car wasn't running, right? I was walking to the payphone. I got my car from one of the little third party car places, and I know what their repo vehicle looked like, right? And I knew the people. It was owned by like a little family, so I knew all of them because I went in there weekly to pay my little car note, right? Weekly. Who pays a weekly car note, right? Boy, I tell you, weekly going in there, giving them my little $50. Here they come, riding through the neighborhood, and I seen them. I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't jump behind a tree. I'm like, oh, surely they're coming to get my car. I was like, oh, well, it ain't running anyway. So I stood over there at the payphone, and I stayed over there because it was only one way into my neighborhood, and I wasn't going back until I seen them go out. So I called my mama, and I kind of stayed over there by the payphone, and when I seen them coming back about 10 minutes later, I'm like hiding behind a little booth, and I'm like, because I ain't want them to see me. I'm like, hey, you gonna pay us for this? And I just ducked them. But y'all, I did some foolish stuff, right? So they took the car away. That was the last I seen of that car. I wasn't going to get it anyway because I had already driven it into the ground, right? So it was absolutely crazy. So hold on. Look, y'all, I forgot why I was telling y'all this again. Hold on. And there was a reason why I brought that up. Darn it, I was trying to tie it into something, y'all. Hold on. I'm going to have to start making my little self notes. So I be saying so many stories sometimes, and I go back and watch my videos. I'm like, darn, I started telling a story and didn't even finish, and nobody said anything. I probably told so many, trying to tie all of them together, and then I forgot about one. I was like, oh, that was my whole point of saying all that. So sometimes I go back and watch the video, and I see that I'm doing that. But I'm going to have to start making myself little notes, y'all. But when you, that's why. Tell you about Yahuwah leading us as the teacher within. So when we leave out of our parents' house, it's kind of like the same thing being in the church. If you need it, okay, right? Get the teaching, but you should be growing. You shouldn't be stuck in one place for all your life, because at a certain point, there's a frustration that's going to set in. It's like it will be the same as if you go into first grade and you're never accelerating levels, all right? Now, everybody can tell your tail is overgrown. Why is you sitting in here first grade? Where you supposed to be? You supposed to be in fifth grade? Why are you sitting here? Oh, are you helping today? Right? At a certain point, everybody's going to begin to see that something is wrong, right? You can see that in a lot of churches. People, overgrown tails, is sitting there still drinking milk from the teat when they should be eating meat, right? And it's crazy. So you kind of see that process while growing up through your parents' house, right? So get what you're supposed to get while you're there, and then the teachings that you have learned, all the good information, all the instruction, those should be your inward guides, your inward the voices of your mom and your dad that kind of keep you on track while you're out by yourself, right? And so that's where Yahuwah actually begins to take over, right? It's like your parents prepare you, and they give you all these basic teachings, getting you ready for daddy, right? Just like moms have the job of nurturing the children, right? Bringing them up, boys and girls. Like, you getting most of your teaching from your mom. Yeah, dad is there with some things, but most of the time, until they get out of that adolescent type, or that really needy, clingy type. I would say even like preteens, you're really attached to mom, right? Then you get like a little independence and you begin to grow, and then when it's time to go, as you get a little older, now dad, you hearing dad a little bit more. All right, boy, get it together, get out there, get this. I don't want to hear I don't want to hear it. Get it done, right? So dad begins to pick up the teaching as you get a little bit older, right? Begin to toughen you up a little more before it's time to get out there and get into the real world, where dad ain't gonna be with you 24/7. A mom ain't gonna be with you 24/7, right? You gotta go out there by yourself. You gotta take all the teachings that we have taught you over these last 18, maybe 19, depending on if you go to college, whatever, all these years. Take all of this information, take everything along with you, right? Just like when Reese Richard, take everything that you've learned, take it along with you, and learn how to apply it to different situations. Now, it's like you getting real live training, right? Now it's real time, real world. Everything is going into practice, right? Some of us fail that test when we first get out there. Hence, which is why I brought the story back up. Yeah, so we failed that test. You get out there, oh shoot, ain't paying my bills. They teach you how to do this, keep track of your stuff. You got a checkbook, keep track of your money. This. Otherwise, you wonder where all your money been going, right? You ain't gonna be able to pay your bills. So being in the church is like the same. It's literally like the same thing. And prayerfully, hopefully, you're in a place that really teaches you truth. Yes.
It's died.
Charges right there, sis. Boom. I had it ready for you because I knew you didn't plug it up last night. Right there. Get it. Plug it in. So it's literally the same way, right? So, but when you see it, especially overgrown old people, and it's like what? When you're no longer learning, it becomes a source of frustration, right? And it's really not anybody else's fault, right? You just decided not to grow. You just want to linger around. Now you this big overgrown tail child sitting in these tiny elementary school seats, and you supposed to be going, but you refuse to move. You refuse to grow. You want to stay in first grade when you clearly should be in fifth, right? What's going on? Like, now it's time to check you out. Is there some mental issue? Is there something you're not understanding? What has stunted your growth? Are you just refusing to grow, right? Same way. The church kind of like being under pastors and leadership and stuff, and I started with saying that someone will tell you have to be there, that you're out of order if you don't always have a head over you. I mean, I get what they're saying. I ain't saying be a vagabond and stuff, and a lot of people kind of get that twisted too, especially when you're married. They think, oh, your husband don't count and your past is your head. That is the some of the most foolishness I've ever heard in my life. Yes, baby. You got to plug it into the top. And if you're ever in a place where your leadership is trying to tell you to go against the authority of your husband, you better get out of that place as fast as you can. Because before long, you're going to see that there is going to be strife in your home. And the pastor, and he's a vagabond, first of all, he'll tell you that you're going against Yah and all this, and I'm the prophet in your life and all this dumb crap. Y'all had better get out of there and save your family, because I can guarantee you there's going to be strife many days in your home while you're sitting under that under that person and that erroneous teaching, right? Another man, especially when you're married, no other man's information trumps the information that comes from your husband, right? The husband said, babe, we ain't going to this church, let's roll. You better pack it up, let's roll, right? Or you got some problems. You're going to have some major problems. And I see that, unfortunately, that happens a lot in the church and in this whole Hebrew root movement, because you're more red. And I was like, boy, y'all better learn. Sooner or later, y'all gonna learn. Because when y'all out there by yourself, who gonna help you? Who gonna help you pay your bills, right? They already got families. They tend into their church or their congregation and all this stuff. And you're gonna find out real quick who you should have been listening to, right? Don't let anybody come in and separate your union between husband and a wife. It's the most disgusting thing, right? And I shared with y'all before. Y'all definitely shouldn't, especially women. I'm telling you from a woman's point of view, in my experience, don't take foolish advice from other women. Don't take foolish advice from other men. Men taking dumb advice from men who aren't married or men who are married that's doing shenanigans. Don't vet your information. People you're talking to, look and see how their information is working for their very own lives, right? Not saying that everybody's perfect and people don't run into problems, because they do. But if their stuff is not working out, you best believe they're adding problems to your load, right? And you're gonna find it out real soon, right? So be careful, be wary of those in leadership who say you absolutely must have somebody over you and you ain't gonna learn nothing. No, there comes a time where Yahuwah will literally lead and guide you, right? When does that ever kick in? When you're always allowing man to lord over you and to teach you and tell you what you're supposed to be doing. At what time does the inner voice kick in? At what point can you be free to where Yahuwah can lead and guide you into all truth, right? You may need some teaching. Okay, and this is what you do. But everybody who is teaching, they should be teaching you and preparing you to push you out there, baby. You can't stay here. You gotta go. Let's go. Life is waiting for you out there. Let's go. Come on, you can't stay here. We got more people to bring up and push out of here, right? They should be paired. You should just be passing through their place, right? Take what you need, grow, keep moving, right? And the inward voice, the voice of Yahuwah, will lead and guide you into all truth. He'll teach you how to apply the different information, the different data that you have gathered. Wisdom comes in, and you have wisdom when you know how to apply certain information to certain situations and get the desired result. That's the proof that wisdom has set in your life. But if you just got a bunch of raw data, you don't know what to do with it, you got a bunch of knowledge and facts. That's why in all you're getting, get understanding, right? And understanding will take you on the road and put you on the road to wisdom. Because now you got the raw facts, you got the data. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, all right, now we got to separate this. How do I use all this? This is where understanding begins to come in as you begin to disseminate and assimilate all this information you've taken in. How do I apply this? Okay, this can be applied here, this can be applied here. When you begin to apply it, wisdom begins to happen and you learn, right? So when you get the desired results, knowledge is not power. The proper application of knowledge is power, right? A whole bunch of knowledge ain't gonna do you no good if you don't understand it and you don't understand how to use it. So use it. So that they say knowledge is power. No, the proper application of knowledge is power. All right, let's go ahead and read this little section. I just been talking. All right, page 292. Primary Nicolaitan doctrine, apostolic succession. The truth is, Yahuwah has no headquarters on earth at this time. There is no succession, kingdom, or government that can be seen, no line of apostolic authority. There's a huge apostasy going on, though. Yahuwah's spirit guides us into all truth, not an organization, society, or denomination. Those who have received his spirit are now Israelites and are to teach to the nations the Torah. In Matthew chapter 28, verses 19 and 20. Therefore, go and make taught ones or disciples or students of all the nations, immersing them in the name of the Father, teaching them to guard all that I have commanded you. And see, I am with you always, even unto the end of the age. Amen. The two-class system, priests over people, is seen by many to be the reason for the destruction of the original assemblies of the original Nazarene. Nicolaitans seek to be recognized or distinguished from the ordinary folk and often dress the part. Just like you got pastors, you can tell the ones in the row, oh, they part of the clergy, or they putting on robes, all this, oh, they not ordinary. We ordinary folk, right? They get robes and garb and stuff, looking crazy. The two-class system, priests over people, is seen by many to be the reason for the destruction of the original assemblies by the original Nazarene. Nicolaitans seek to be recognized or distinguished from the ordinary folk and often dressed apart. Appearances are most important to them, and their behavior is an act to be seen by men. Hypocrisy and eye service is condemned by Yahuwah, as we certainly already realize. Nicolaitans are playing a role and expect that everyone should acknowledge their authority and status. They seek after titles and honors and want their ideas obeyed without question. Clearly, that's still going on today wherever you at, right? These verses escape their attention. Matthew chapter 23, verse 8. But you do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, the Mashiach, and you are all brothers. Luke chapter 17, verses 20 and 21. And having been asked by the Pharisees when the reign of Yahuwah would come, he asked them and said, the reign of Yahuwah does not come with intent watching, nor shall they say, look here or look there, for the reign of Yahuwah is in your midst. And here he has, in small words in parentheses, he said, notice the reign of Elohim. Notice the reign of here, Elohim, but it's Yahuwah. Notice the reign of Yahuwah here is what will wipe out the reign of Babel, the beast, right? Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. And Yahusha knew their thoughts and said to them, every reign divided against itself is laid waste, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. In Matthew chapter 18, verse 1, the Talmudim, or the students, pondered the question of who was the greatest among them. In Matthew chapter 20, verse 21, the mother of the sons of Zebedee requested that they be seated on his right hand and left, that they be seated on his right and left of the reign. The Talmudim of Yahusha wanted to know which of them would be in charge after he departed. At Romans chapter 16, verse 17, we are told to keep our eye on those who cause divisions. The next section. Bella, chill. Nicolaitans use mental strongholds to control people's beliefs and thoughts. Mental strongholds can be broken by simply knowing they are there. They are false reasoning and misunderstanding. The foremost belief they promote is that they, or the Nicolaitans, are the enlightened ones, and they boast that they know Yahuwah. Everyone else must do as they say. We have knowledge of Torah to overthrow them. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 through 6. For the weapons we fight with are not fleshly, but mighty in Yahuwah for overthrowing strongholds, overthrowing reasonings, and every high matter that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yahuwah, taking captivity every thought to make it obedient to Yahuwah, and being ready to punish all disobedience when your disobedience, be ready to punish all disobedience when your obedience is complete. Luke chapter 14 teaches us to take the last place. Two key words used at 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 through 6. Strongholds. In the Greek, it's the Greek number G3794. Okay, so if you're ever using a Hebrew Greek study Bible, you'll know the word is Hebrew. If the number starts with an H, you'll know it's Greek if it starts with a G. So this stronghold in Greek is otruroma, and it's Greek number 3794. And it means argument, concept, thought. Literally, it means a castle, stronghold, or fortress. Figuratively, it means anything on which one relies, such as the arguments and reasonings by which a dispute endeavors to fortify his opinion and defend it against his opponent. A mindset or viewpoint is a stronghold and may be true or false. If false, it needs to be overthrown with truth. A really good example is what we did, and I hate to bring it up, but it's a really good example, right? So the video that I did recently, in response to Truth Unveiled video, where he was talking about the homosexuality, he has a stronghold going on, and now his reasoning in scriptures is getting all jumbled up, right? And it's not lining up, and he's misinterpreting things. The only way you can overthrow that is with truth, right? So instead of doing the video out of my feelings, because I understand that the only way you can break this up is if you can get somebody to listen to truth and realize, wait a minute, I'm missing something, and have them going back and checking themselves. That's the only way falsities and strongholds can be broken. It can only be overthrown with the truth, right? So that's why I took the time and actually kind of went through it, pointing out stuff, right? Letting scripture interpret scripture, making sure you're going through every single word if need be, just to make sure you're not getting jumbled up, right? Okay, I'll read this again. Let me just read this again. Strongholds. In the Greek, it's called a trauma. I may have pronounced it wrong. It's Ochroma, and it's the Greek Strong's number G3794, and it's an argument, concept, or thought. Literally, it means a castle, a stronghold, or a fortress. Figuratively, it means anything on which one relies, such as the arguments and reasonings by which a dispute endeavors to fortify his opinion and defend it against his opponent. A mindset or a viewpoint is a stronghold and may be true or false. If false, it needs to be overthrown by truth. Always remember that, y'all. Imaginations. The Greek word is logimos or logimos. It's spelled Logismos. The Greek's Strong's number is G3053. And it means reasoning, imagination, or computation. And he has Matthew chapter 23, verse 12. And whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. When someone hears you tell them the truth and their eyes glaze over because their stronghold has them firmly bound, they might as well say, my mind is made up. Don't confuse me with the facts, right? And some people do that. It's disheartening and it's heartbreaking, right? Because you can tell when people do that, you can tell that they are, some people, I thought that they were at a point where they could hear the truth one time and it'll snap them away. Yes, I see it. But some people, when they get to this point and it's like, leave me alone with all of that, it's like, man, you're a lot deeper than I originally. What is it supposed to do other than what it's doing?
Listen, press.
Is there anything in it? When I realized that people are much deeper in their, let's say their delusion than what I originally thought, that part is really heartbreaking, right? So you can try a couple more times to wake them up, maybe to get their attention in hopes that the truth that was in them can identify with the truth that you're giving them, and it'll kind of wake them up a little bit. But sometimes it just doesn't happen, right? It just doesn't happen, at least not at that point. Either they're not ready or they've just decided, this is the route I'm going. I'm staying on this path I'm on, right? I'm right, you're wrong. Not even going to consider what you're saying, right? When someone hears you tell them the truth and their eyes glaze over because their stronghold has them firmly bound, they might as well say, my mind is made up. Don't confuse me with the facts. Examples of such factions having long-standing doctrinal positions, old wine, would be rabbinical Judaism. Better stop. Pharisees and Talmudic teachings of Rabbi Akiva. Mormons. Okay, so it's listing a lot of these things that people get caught up into. That's kind of like strongholds. They are literally strongholds, and we know it, especially if we come out of it, right? So you got some of the rabbinical Judaism, because they have Torah, but they use the Talmud. They very rarely read out of Torah, but they full on with the Talmud, right? And it's all kinds of craziness in the Talmud, right? The Mormons, teaching of Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon. Some of our people is waking up to go back to sleep. What is y'all doing with this Book of Joseph Smith, y'all? Stop it. And I know some of the stuff that some people is teaching about it, because I was like, what in the crap is going on here? And I had to listen to a couple. I was like, wait, what? No. And it sounds so convincing. Look. There's somebody that I used to listen to because there were some teachings that I I think he absolutely had on point, right? But then he kind of linked up with his other brother. And I saw the change when I saw him link up with his other brother. And his other brother has a little bit of truth, right? I'm learning how to eat the meat and spit out the bones. I'm learning how to sift through what's good and what's not, right? I'm taking all the teachings that I've learned in my father and my mother's house. And as I've transitioned out and all the things that I've been learning as Yahuwah have taught me himself, right? That the inward voice, the voice of truth, leading and guiding me into all truth, right? All of these things, right? It keeps you if you keep them. And if you take truth along with you, if you call her your friend, right? Wisdom will follow you, right? She'll watch out for you. She'll make sure your foot don't trip and make sure it don't get caught inside snares and stuff, right? Call her your best friend, right? But what happens is some of these brothers and sistering is tripping up along the way, right? They're leaving some of their jewels behind. And they're getting caught up into some of this stuff, right? And it sounded really convincing. But there was still something wrong about what it was. I couldn't quite put my finger on it at the time. But I'm like, wait a minute. See? Because it's without getting into too much detail. But I'm just telling y'all, if y'all getting caught up, because it's a few different people now that's waking. I say they waking up to go back to sleep, and they intertwine this Book of Mormon and stuff, and they pulling out different things, some of the prophecies of Nehi, depending on which version Nephi and all. I'm like, ooh, y'all, wait a minute, ooh, like, and it's like you try to ask some questions like, wait a minute, so what about this, and they just kind of ignore that, or they just completely skip over this and tell you why something. I was like, no, but this right here, this is what keeps me solid. This is what you who has taught me. Remember, I am one. Like this, y'all, we missing something. I said, this looks like it's going. This is some of the same pagan doctrine, just what you want to call it, this repurpose. Giving you a different name, but some of the same red flags is popping off about this. I'm like, this, and it's like, and you just literally asking questions, right? And then they'll do videos verifying. I'm like, you still are not answering the question. You are completely ignoring the truth that is in plain sight that I put there, that I asked you, and you're not addressing this. Because if you address this, it's going to cause all of these other things to be shaky, right? And you have thousands of people now subscribe to your channel, and I'm going through reading some of the comments. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like this, and you could see some of the people in the comments like, people, what are y'all doing? This is wrong. No, we're not to. And people is just like, when you get so caught on a teacher, that's why I'm like, y'all better learn how to literally go within and ask Yah, because all of us are human. We all could make mistakes, right? And if you don't stay humble, like, Father, keep me humble. Like, if I'm wrong, just help me. Let me not gloss over things I might be glossing over, right? Have somebody, I don't care who says, have somebody screaming out to get my attention. If I'm like going in that direction, I say, help me. Right? Because I'm not one, I definitely don't want to go astray, right? And I definitely don't want to lead anybody else astray, right? And there are some things that I come across that I thought was the truth, but as I continue, I was like, oh shoot, no, we need to adjust this, y'all. Remember what I said though? This is wrong. Look, this is why. Let's fix this. Let's adjust, right? Okay, back on track. And that's gonna happen from time to time, but you have to be very careful. You have to be on your square all the time. Make sure people don't trick you with smooth sounding words or things that might logically make sense, but it's there. It's like I hear my mom and them say all the time. They used to say, Satan will tell you 99% of the truth just to float one lie. And I've always remembered that. So I'm looking for the one lie to float, because if something don't seem right, that means something ain't right? Either I'm missing information, I'm not fully understanding, or something truly isn't right. So now I'm like, okay, what is hidden that I'm not seeing? And like these teachings of Joseph Smith, the Book of Mormon, is one of those one lie floaters, right? So y'all, that's why I said it sounded so good. I was like, but something is off about this. Stay away from it, brethren. Stay away from it, sister. Clearly we know the Catholics and their rituals, right? So you got the Jesuits, you got rabbinical Judaism, you got the Mormons, which is the teachings of Joseph Smith, the Book of Mormon. You got Catholics, which is Constantine, their councils, the sacraments, the rituals. You got Islam, the Sikh, the teachings of Muhammad's 5 pillars combined with Hinduism. You got, what is it? Shahada. Shahada. I think that's Shahada, Shahadaah, is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is final prophet. Allah is Hebrew meaning high or mighty one. You got the Salah, which is they pray at 5 fixed times daily. You got Zakah, which is the alms giving. You got Psalm, SAWM, which is fasting, ritual, repentant, as what's it, ascetic, ASCETIC. You got the Hajj, HAJJ, is a pilgrimage that occurs during the Islamic moon of, what is it? Who? It's a D. Maybe the D is silent. I don't know. DHU, Al Hijab. I done thoroughly screwed that up. I'm sure it's 2 words. The first word is DHU. The second word is AL-HIJJAH. So that's the Hajj, which is a pilgrimage that occurs during the Islamic moon of Hu al-Hijjah in the city of Mecca. It said, we should be aware that the language used by Arabs is mainly the purest of ancient Hebrew still used on the planet. The Yahudim have been dispersed into the nations, and foreign languages have had their influences on their form of many words. Yiddish is perhaps an extreme example, but it's very real. The Mezorites spent 500 years influencing the pronunciation of Hebrew words with vowel points they invented. Arabs named their children Abraham, Dawid, Yosef, Asha, and many more good Hebrew names. Their language is pure, so we must distinguish it from their religious behavior. If we were to let me read that again. Their language is pure, so we must distinguish it from their religious behavior. Right? Okay. If we were to judge all the English-speaking people based on the fact that some of them are cruel, we would be foolish to do so. So that's something that I like what he said. Be able to separate the truth. Okay. All right. So, okay, he got it. Okay, I didn't know if that was going to kick me off. I'm glad it didn't. Anybody said anything, so I think we're good. Shalom, Jay Denton. Shalom. Welcome to the room. All right. So, the next one is going into, remember, we're still talking about, excuse me. It's still talking about the teachings of the Nicolaitans and the different groups and the mental strongholds that they use over the different people. So we're naming out some of those groups, right? So the next one is the Hindu, Buddhist, reincarnation, and karma. The ultimate objective is to escape the wheel of life and reach nirvana or oblivion. And he said the lake of fire will do exactly what they all hope for. So now, with a lot of these, I have done some research into all of these. And also what I found out, there is, and here's one that I think some people kind of mix up, like with the Hindu Buddhist stuff. These is, well, with all of them. Every place, everywhere you go, they will have some truth, right? But you have to be able to decipher between that truth and their religious behavior, things that they have added to the truth, and they began to build other doctrines around it. And I think the Hindu or the Buddhist faith or whatever is like that, and I can see a lot of it, right? When I start looking into some of that stuff, they will teach you about some natural occurring things that happen in life with the body, right? But people are we talked about this in a couple different videos. I think the video where I labeled it, I think the chakras or something like that, and I put the colors. I think that's the video that I talked about it a little more into detail. what I found out when looking into some of this stuff, because guys, I want to make sure, like, the way I research, I don't just like stay stuck on one thing. I want to make sure I have full, complete information, right? So I like to see what I'm up against. It's kind of, I don't know, I kind of learned that from the military a little bit, right? Where you study your enemy and different things. And even when I came out of the military, when I became a part of this church, they had classes that you could take. And the classes that really, things that really, anything involving research where I can learn about different cultures, it really fascinates me. It is really not a fascination, but I really like to learn about other cultures and their ways of life and see the differences and what the differences are based on like what we do in the Western culture and how it differs, right? So that's why if you hear me talking about some things, and I know I title my videos, guys, y'all have to realize I title my video, and some people, they read my titles and they just leave ignorant comments. Stay away from people like Hershey Lee. I'm like, did you watch the video? Right? I can tell you somebody that just came new and you don't watch the videos, right? Because I will name my videos catchy titles. I do. I name it. I ain't gonna call it clickbait because I am. Sometimes I'm talking about what's in my title, but a lot of time people may look at the title and they'll go into a whole nother thought process, like I'm teaching witchcraft or something, and I'm trying to show you the truth that I found based on the lies and error that have been packed with it, right? It's like 99% of the truth that float that one lie, and that's what I found it to be. So I said all that when I started looking into some of the Hindu and the Buddhist stuff. I'm like, okay, they talking about natural occurring things, and they use words. They have like the Sanskrit language and stuff, and in their culture, what we use that are medical terms here, they're not using the same terms that we use in the Western world. They're using terms in their language that we have been taught in the Western world, that when we hear these words, it's witchcraft and to stay away from it. But if you actually go and listen to what they're saying, hey guys, chill. If you actually just listen to what they're saying, what they're trying to convey to you, you will find out that a lot of times when you hear something, I'm not talking about some of the ones that's like overly religious, because you will have them as they begin to teach you about the chakras, they will begin adding other stuff into it, right? But what I found out by listening to them and listening to my sister is a registered nurse, and she done taught me a lot just by some of her conversations, and even with teaching my children, getting these medical cards and stuff where it's teaching you about the body. So when I would listen to, I was like, wait a minute, they're talking about the endocrine system, right? And so the more I was like, oh, shoot. So a lot of times when you hear them talking about chakras or balancing your chakras and stuff, they're simply telling you, the endocrine system. And when you look at the chakras, when you see it, you see the lights, you see somebody sitting in a meditation, Indian style, and you see these lights going through their body, starting from the bottom up, or whichever way you want to look at it, or whatever. And they're talking about energies, right? They're wheels of energy, spiral wheels of energy. But those lights actually represent a physical organ in your body that literally runs up your body, my G, from the base, from your buttocks, the bottom, right? And you will see if you go into the medical field like that, everything can be proven, right? If you look at a body, you just pull up a chart of body, you will see all these major organs that literally go along the spine, right? And they start talking about that, and you start hearing them talk about the Kundalini energy and all those. I was like, oh shoot, that's what they're referring to, right? So once I removed the boogeyman from the door, shalom, Sarah. Once I removed the boogeyman from the door, and the word chakra didn't scare me anymore, I was able to further go and say, I was like, oh, so this is this. And I actually had my medical book while I was looking at it. I was like, oh, so this is what they're referring to this. They're referring to this. But you have to be careful, because there are some who go further than that, right? And they'll still use a certain terminology. That's why you have to pay very close attention to who's teaching you and what they're actually saying. Now, it is true that although, shalom, Kurt, although you have these physical organs that we all physically have in our bodies, they actually do create energy that cannot be seen. And they will begin to talk about it on that realm. which is true, right? When we don't feed the physical organs, HB Shalom, when we don't feed the physical organs in our body that we can actually see, we can cut you open and tell, yes, you have that, you have that. Even this right here, yes, you have a pineal gland. Everybody had the hypothalamus, the thalamus, all that is there, right? What happens is, if you don't feed your body appropriately with the foods that give it life, and that causes everything to operate at full perfection on how it was designed to work, those energies that we can't see, like us actually having, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm out of energy. We can't see that. All we can see is the symptoms of you not having energy. You're lethargic, right? We'll start seeing your we'll actually start seeing the symptoms in your body, right? We can tell you look dry, you're dehydrated. It's because the things that we feed physically will literally give us energies and things that happens with our body that we can't see. So it's the endocrine system. And you hear them talking about energy and the spiral wheel. So that's what they're talking about. So when you hear it in medical form, that it really is happening. And a lot of them are really just teaching you that, right? But some people get thrown off and you don't understand medical terminology and understand that they're literally talking about the same thing, but we call it, in the Western world, we call it something different. We're going to call it by some medical terms, the endocrine system, and this and this and this and all of this. But if you're coming right out the church, oh, it's witchcraft. And I got people, oh, sharing it. I'm like, you just didn't watch the video, did you? You ain't listening to nothing. You saw, it's like you woke up with violence in your heart this morning. You type in the word chakra, and my video pops up, and you look at a couple comments, you let the video play for a second, you skip through, you let it play at the beginning, you skip to the middle, and you skip to the end. This is garbage. She's a witch. Stay away from her channel. All the church people, turn to Jesus, or you can burn in the lake of fire. I'm like, I know, anytime I get those comments, I know people have not watched the video at all, right? And I just kind of sit and laugh. I'm like, geez. I'm like, man, we got to be better. Sometimes I will engage them. I was like, sis, did you watch the video? I said, because I can tell by your comment, you ain't watching that every second of my video. I said, it would behoove you to watch videos before you start leaving comments, right? And she did. She left a couple different comments. I'm like, I know. And like, she like left them like almost back to back. And lately my videos been like hour and a half. So for you to leave me a comment at 11:42 on this video, then go over here at 11:45 and you done left a comment. This video is an hour too. Where did you watch that video? And this time span, 11:42, you left a comment. Then 11:45 on a different video, you left a comment. Then 11:53, you left a comment on this video. I was like, you are not watching my videos. Clearly, you're out for blood today, and I just happened to show up in your radar. You find, look, and the only video she left them ignorant comments on was the videos where I have titles with something like chakra or third eye or something like that. And I'm like, boy, I tell you, but it taught me something, because I kind of used to do that too. But I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just getting some of the same dumb stuff I used to do. So I stopped doing that a while ago. But I ain't go in too bad at it, because I'm like, okay, yeah, she really still steeped in the church. Okay, you know what? I'm a charge it to her head and not to her heart, because I know she ain't going through watching the video, actually seeing what I'm saying. But yeah, some of the video, and I don't even delete the comments. If somebody sees a comment and later it's deleted, now if somebody is fighting and they're disrespecting, or they like calling each other names, I may delete that whole thread. But that hasn't happened in a while, right? But most of the comments, I haven't deleted a comment in I don't know how long, right? Some of them I don't even see till late, but they'll stay there. So if y'all see something and it's going, 9 times out of 10, either the person who posted it deleted it themselves, or if somebody else thought it was inappropriate, somebody else is going to report it and delete it. But also I noticed some of the titles where maybe sex is in the title, you got people that got YouTube porno channels, and they doing the same thing. They're typing in like sex or something in the YouTube search engine, and videos will pop up that have that, maybe that in their title. And what they'll do, they'll start going through and they'll start leaving little links. I know now what them links look like, and I don't click on them, and I just immediately report it. But I still get the the notifications, and it's like a preview with the notifications that'll show you the link that was posted. And when I click on it, somebody that watched me has already reported. So thank you, all of y'all who report those disgusting links that people leave. So by the time I get to them and I send, because I'll see everything that's posted, but when I go there, I know either somebody else has already taken care of it, or somebody's reported something, or somebody just delete their own comments. So for all of you that reported some of them disgusting links that people are leaving with porn stuff, thank you for reporting it, because they will automatically do it. But I will get every notification of everything that's ever posted on videos, whatever, to my channel. So back to this. I'll read this again. The Hindu, the Buddhist, and they doing the whole reincarnation and karma and stuff. And some of it can get really ridiculous when they get into some of the reincarnation things. I'm just like, this is wild. They really lack understanding of some of this stuff, right? And he says the objective is to escape the wheel of life and reach nirvana, and he has in bold print oblivion, right? And then as kind of like a little a shot at them, he said the lake of fire will do exactly what they all hope for. Okay, so the next one, the Nicolaitans are cruel leaders, savage wolves, and you can find that in Acts chapter 20. Therefore, take heed to yourselves and to all the flock, among which the set-apart Spirit has made you overseers, to shepherd the assembly of Yahuwah, which he has purchased with his own blood. But we ain't gonna get into all this today, right? But we know there's a bit of leaven added to this. For I know this, that after my departure, savage wolves shall come in among you, not sparing the flock. Also, from among yourselves, men shall arise, speaking distorted teachings, to draw away the taught ones after themselves. Nicolaitans are very concerned about control, and once they have power, they seek to keep it. And we can see a lot of that, right? It's all kind of different teachings springing up now, and it's just like, look, we all, and I was like, listen, we got to find our balance. Like every so often, I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, what I know is, Father, that you are one, right? You exist. You said there is no one other than you, right? And you are our Savior. You are our Redeemer. You and you alone, right? At times, I literally have to go back, all the stuff that I have to walk back through it and have to reground myself, especially if somebody comes with some teaching that is really, and it kind of makes me like, wait a minute, that sounds kind of, because I can name a couple people, and there are guys, when I tell you, they are really, really convinced. I'm like, oh, I'm not even going to mention their names because I know something is off, right? And it's just like, oh, I won't mention the name, but I'll kind of tell you. And it's like, that's why I had to find myself. I was like, wait a minute, that almost kind of, but I know something is immediate, like, nope, stop it. And I'm like, wait, okay. And I got a Father, you are one. You are my Redeemer. You are the Savior. The God that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob worship, right? The God that Elijah spoke to. All the prophets. Like, I literally walk myself through this just to make sure I'm grounded, and make sure people's smooth words don't trip you up. Like, you really have to do that from time to time, right? And it's like, wait a minute, because there's somebody, they get smoother and smoother, right? And it's like, for those that are waking up, it's like anything that they can do to reel you back into their control and their bondage, they are doing it, and they are doing it non-stop, right? Because once you fully awaken, it's like we become, I want to make sure I say this the right way. Not that we become violent, but we are, let me just say this. We're violent about the truth, right? The 100% unadulterated truth. Not that we act towards you in violence, but we are violent against lies, because we understand how lies distort people from all the way from beginning to the end, and they lead people off into some terrible things, right? So in a way, I just want to make sure I'm using, because I'm not a violent person, but I will attack lies with the truth, right? And I'm coming with receipts, right? I got bags of receipts coming with me, right? Let's talk about this. Some people, they actually say, wait, well, sis, I don't necessarily agree with you, but you got a point. You making me think, right? So I'm like, well, let's talk about this. Let's, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe you missed something. Let's just talk about it, right? And when you can talk to your brethren and your sister, right? And we can have a conversation, and without getting angry and trying to defend what you believe to be the truth, we can actually gain some ground. Like I might learn something. I'm sure I will learn something from you, right? And I'm sure you may learn something from me, right? We can talk back and forth. Like, oh man, you're right. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh my goodness. Oh snap, but people that are like, no, you going to hell, and I ain't even listen, I ain't even gonna watch the video, because I'm like, yeah, I don't deal with people. Not that I don't deal with you, but right now I see that even though, like, you gotta, not that you have to calm down, but there has to, I think the word, there has to be a maturing that has to happen inside of you as you gain the truth. And I would say compassion has to set in, right? Because some people, they get the truth and they're very zealous, right? And what they're saying is right, but they're overly zealous, and in their pursuits to save people with truth, they do more harm than helping, and they actually push people away. But and it comes across to people as being self-righteous and holier than thou. And they actually accomplish the opposite of what they're trying to accomplish. So once I realized that, I'm like, ooh, it's like, girl, you gotta have some compassion. So what if I did that to you? I was like, ooh, touche, you right. I said that was kind of harsh, wasn't it? I'm like, ooh. They'll probably never come back to me, huh? I could never probably say that, and I understand that, right? So it's like compassion has to set in. You have to understand. It's just like parents with children. Not that you're over anybody or you're anybody's parent, but you can see the principle with children. There is a certain amount of force and discipline you have to apply, or you shouldn't apply, depending on the age and maturity of your children, right? And good parents would know that. You can't discipline a 1-year-old like you would discipline your 17-year-old, right? Because your 1-year-old is still learning. They're kind of learning the ropes of life. They just thrown out here into earth, and they just look into earth, and they trying to figure out what's what, to where you've been here 17 years, my G, right? You knew better than that, right? So it's the same thing. When you encounter different people, as you mature, you'll actually begin to identify who's mature and who's not, how much pressure to apply, how much pressure not to apply, how sweet to talk, how stern to talk, right? When to dole out punishment, when not to dole out punishment, right? You gotta, it's upside down, Pooh. Remember, you can look at the side and tell which side you need to put that on. That smooth side is not going to catch the opener, but the other side is designed just for that, right? Catch it at the other side. So it's just a part of growing and understanding and knowing who your audience is, right? All right, y'all. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna pause right here because I'm just kind of rambling on. I did a lot of rambling today. I really did. At least I think I did. Let me pause right here. Pause right here. With the Nicolaitans are very concerned about control, and once they have power, they seek to keep it. All right. So we'll pause right here. All right. So.
See, you did it, Mom.
Yeah. Okay. Mom. Send it to me, Jay Denton. Can
Mommy,
you? Yes.
they actually did it.
Okay. Very good. They said, sis, can you please share this information? There's a tour room by Adaya on Clubhouse, and I'm inviting you to. Is that? I think I heard of Clubhouse before. I don't have it. It's an app. I don't have it. I'll do the same for this room. We tour believers need to come together. Yes and amen. Right? Miss Pamela, I've been studying the effects on Catholicism on the world religions. I discovered that Catholicism and Hinduism are very similar. Absolutely they are, right? Matter of fact, if you really begin to look at a lot of them, all the different religions, all of them come out of Catholicism, and Catholicism comes straight from Nimrod worship, y'all. I'm telling you, this crazy. Matter of fact, this book goes into deep detail about all that. I'm not sure how long you've been here, but when we started this, it started breaking all different religions and going to a lot of it. So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Mom.
Yes, baby.
Look, the breath smell disgusting.
Oh, y'all need to go brush y'all teeth, right? Oh, y'all came down here, but ain't nobody brushed their teeth this morning. Bella is funny. Okay, y'all. All right, well, guys, come on. Give me a second. Give me a second. All right, y'all just trying to raid the kitchen. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and end this. Everybody's up. Where's my book? Where is my... Where's my notebook? Tootie, what you doing with my notebook? Did you stick it back in my bag? Give me here.
Mom,
Oh.
does it hit me in the stomach?
Keep your hands to yourself. What I tell you?
I kick it on the stomach.
That's even worse. Keep your feet on the floor, boy. Kick them back. I'm loud.
I understand.
Look. I'm gonna tell him. Look.
Trying to hit me.
You hit him? Is she gonna hit you back? Look, I'm not for egging on fights, right? But I told y'all about Isaiah, right? I told y'all about my son Isaiah. Love my son. But if somebody came to my door and told me, your son Isaiah just walked up to me and punched me in my face, I'm going to believe you. Because I know my son Isaiah. But you ain't going to tell me that about Joshua. But I believe that about Isaiah. He just come out the womb fighting. You know. So, but we trying to teach him, like, first of all, you don't hit girls. Look, I'm kind of, here's where I stand on men hitting women and women hitting men, right? First of all, I don't agree that you should be fighting one another. But men, because of how they were made, most of the time they're strong. But there are some women who can roll with the best of them. You don't want to mess with Bertha. Bertha gonna tell you limb from limb, John. Don't mess with her, right? But listen, women, if you're mouthy and you think a man won't hit you back, if you bold enough to walk up to a man and put your hands on him, you better know that if he's not having a good day that day, he might hit you back. And if he hits you back, it's your own dumb fault because you shouldn't have put your hands on him, right? Now listen, that's why I tell Bella and Isaiah, Bella was thrown into this earth amongst a household full of boys. She has 6 brethren. So sis will fight you, right? Don't mess with her. So it's either Bella and Zay or it's Bella and Josiah. Now, Josiah, how old is Josiah? Josiah just turned 8. He about to turn 8 or 9. He about to turn 9. Josiah is bigger, right? Josiah is aware of his stature over his sister, right? Bella will hit him. Josiah get pissed, and you will think he's about to hit you back, but he will not hit her. He will grab her and hold her tight. Didn't I tell you not to hit me? And he may slam her, but he will not hit her. He'll toss her. He'll push her out the room. He'll lock the door. Now I'm sitting here scratching my head. I'm like, sis, where you get all this craziness from? Because I don't act like that. But I'm like, you know what? This had to come from your daddy's side of the family. Or maybe just the ratchetness skipped me, because I can see it on my side of the family where some of the women in my family will fight you. A couple of them might be watching. But they will fight a man, right? They will fight a man. But I'm trying to teach them this, Trina. I'm trying to teach them. And Isaiah, he got big feet. He got big hands and he got big feet. And Bella don't care. If she think you are intruding upon her, if she think you have done her wrong, she will just fly off and will hit you. But then she gonna take off running because she know that if it's Isaiah, he's gonna come after her. Josh, she won't really mess with Josh. She won't really mess with Josh. She'll just mouth back and forth with Josh. Josh wouldn't hit her either. Jeremiah, he's just gonna get out of here, little girl. Just toss her out the room and lock the door, and she'll stand there, let me in, and be begging her. Guys, when I tell you it be wild kingdom around here sometimes. It is wild kingdom around here, right? And sometimes I just let them have at it. Like if dad is not here and I'm trying to get some stuff done, I've learned how to tune it out. As long as I don't hear blood curdling screams or something like that, I'm fine. Y'all work that out. Work it out amongst yourselves, right? I'm trying to get this done. Y'all just don't break my stuff. Get out there. Go inside and back. I don't care. You better not kill one another, right? I'm just like, work it out amongst yourselves, right? But sometimes I do have to referee. But he just, y'all just heard him in the background. She said he hit her, but he said, no, I didn't. I kicked her, right? And she was nice. And she came and told on him. At least I got to call you after this. I just saw your text. But she came and told him. He said, no, I didn't hit her. I kicked her. And he lifted up I kicked her. Lift up his foot. But I'm trying to teach them. Like, first of all, don't fight one another, right? The only time you really should fight is if you're in self-defense, right? And hey, chill, y'all. And yes.
Mom, you told me I took this.
Okay, look, guys. Now, here's what my mama told me growing up, right? She'll tell you the same thing. You don't go hit a man if you don't want to get hit back, right? Because not all men gonna contain themselves and not hit you back, because some men will. You piss them off on a good day, even the most controlled man might might black out for a second, might slap the piss out of you or something, right? Look, don't do it if you ain't right. Golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you if you expect to get hit back. Like, if you want to fight that day, then go ahead. Just get ready, right? And I hope you learn your lesson today. But I'm not in the habit of I don't condone men hitting women, and I don't condone men hitting women. I don't condone women hitting men. Now, if it's self-defense, okay, that's something different. But when it comes to self-defense, I'm apt to take, and I'm glad I never had to use it, I'm apt to take the information that my mama gave me. Now, if it's self-defense, she said, if you're fighting a man, she said, don't try and fight him with your hand. She said, you pick up the closest thing you can find, you lay his tail out, right? But that's not going looking for a fight. That's like self-defense. Thank y'all I never have to use it, right? But nowadays, you're not going to get in my space close enough. Well, first of all, my husband around, it ain't going down, right? They're protecting my boys around, it ain't going down. Especially it ain't nothing happening over here. I'm just going to ignore you and go about my way. But if I'm by myself, if I'm with myself and I have my smaller children with me that I would have to defend, and if my older sons, like my son's about taller than my husband, like our older son is taller than my husband, and he's built bigger than my husband. Jeremiah and James, they're kind of like same height, same build. James is probably my husband, just a little bit bigger than Jeremiah. But Jeremiah, whew, don't mess with that boy. Like, his hands, and he like the box. I'm like, just don't mess with him. He's a real gentle person, and I ain't gonna say it take a lot to piss him off, because I say he's gotten better about controlling his strength and his anger, right? But don't get on his bad side. But if it's just me and it's my smaller children, you best believe sis ain't rolling out the house without morning glory. Yes, morning glory. Ask me what morning glory is and why I named her that. Because if I have to pull out morning glory, when you wake up, you're going to find yourself in glory. When you wake up in the morning, you're going to find yourself in glory. So you don't approach me, right? We going if I see trouble coming, I learn how to look ahead. I learn how to assess the situation. No, I ain't looking for no fight. We trying to get out of here safe and sound. We all trying to get back home safe today. So if I have an inkling that something is wrong, we're not going to go in that direction. If I feel like something about to pop off, come on, everybody grab your stuff, let's go. Because I don't want to have to be responsible for letting somebody out. You take my children, we all going to live another day. Or we going to stay out of jail another day. Let's go. We try to circumvent situations. I'm not one of the ones like, oh, I wish a nigga would today. That's not me. I'm going to get myself out of there so I don't have to use it. right? So, but if trouble follows me, but I know when I keep Yahuwah's commands, that's a promise, right? He keeps those who keeps his commands. But I know the day and the era where we're living, so I don't walk out of my house unarmed. There are some believers that don't believe in that. I ain't the one. I'm military. Don't try and roll up on us. Don't come. First of all, we ain't Christians. Second of all, we is good. And you can be good as you treat each other with mutual respect, but don't come crossing the line over here, right? You're going to see a side of us you wish you had not awakened. But a lot of times we don't even have to show that because Yahuwah keeps us. And he keeps those type of situations away from us, especially if we can sense it. And it's like different things that'll kick in that'll keep you safe. Even dreams sometime, right? Don't go here today. Or you get the inkling, do not turn it, go. And you will soon find out why Yahuwah had you avoid places. So it really, in today's world, it really becomes, I think it's really important that we learn how to hear, not just hear, but obey, like Yahuwah's voice. Hey, chill, sis. When we can hear Yahuwah's voice, the more we practice being obedient to it, you will realize when you need it, just like in a nick of time or emergency situations, you'll be able to hear it. You'll be able to hear his voice in split situations where, oh my gosh, and so Yahuwah will give you enough time to train, hear his voice, and he'll tell you different things and follow. Well, how come they can do it and I can't? I'm trying to tell you, Yahuwah is trying to teach you something. He's trying to teach you how to hear his voice, teach you how to follow his instruction, not what he teaching everybody else, right? Because I'm telling you, I got so many stories about that. Even with that little simple story that I shared with y'all a few months ago, how I tell you that Yahuwah, he's so cool that he'll even tell you when your own family plotting on you. And I shared that story about with my husband and my son. My husband and my oldest son Elijah, before Elijah moved out, they had a bet on me that when they came in the house, it wasn't anything vicious, but I spent a lot of time in the bathroom because that's my quiet place. Take a bath, read the Bible, book, music, candles, whatever. That's my woo-saw space, right? Excuse me. And we had just had Elijah and Jeremiah at the time. But even during these small times, with these little small things, the voice of Yahuwah got stronger and it got clearer because I obeyed his last voice. So just real short, I'll share it with you again. Because it's Sunday, right? Most everybody home. Okay, you got some time. If you got to go on, get out here, go to work, do what you got to do. Look, so this particular day, James had took the boys. He took Elijah and Jeremiah out. They just had their little men's day, right? And so I was at home. I was cleaning, and I had just got done cooking everything. The house was clean. I'm about to go sit in the tub. And I think they had went to the movies, too. But they had gotten back home earlier than what I thought they was going to get back. So when I was about to go take my bath, I had already started running the bath water, right? And so I was about to go in there. And as I was walking, look, and I explained the last video, so I forget which video I told you the whole story. But when we were staying in a little 2-bedroom apartment at the time, so when you come into our apartment, when you open the front door, you can look straight down the hall and see the bathroom. We only had one bathroom at the time, right? So you can see right into the bathroom. So as I was coming out of the kitchen into the bedroom, I had already started the water running and stuff. I had my little everything. I was going to sit in the tub, rebook, whatever, right? I was going to be in there for a minute. And so when I was walking back to the bedroom, as I was going into the bedroom, I think I grabbed something. I went back into the bathroom and I was walking back to the bath. I was walking back to the bathroom and I was about to close the door and I heard Yahuwah said, "Don't take your bath yet." I said, okay. And so I came out the bathroom. I'm thinking, okay, maybe somebody gonna come over. Maybe the phone gonna ring because we had a landline and the landline phone was in the kitchen. I'm thinking, okay, maybe somebody gonna call or something, right? So he said, "Don't take your bath yet." I said, okay. So I came out the bathroom, went back into the bedroom. I didn't know what I was waiting for. I just kind of sat in there piddling around, just waiting for whatever reason was. So that's how Yahuwah deals with me. It's something I'll soon quickly find out why he said what he said. So I'm thinking I'm waiting for a phone call. Maybe somebody going to drop by or something. So I really need to get it. That way I wouldn't be in a tub, right? So I'm like, okay. So I went into the bedroom. And then I hear the key hit the door. Now, mind you, I told you I wasn't expecting my husband and my kids back so early, but they had come back early. They did the movie earlier in the day where I thought they was going to do it at the end of the day. So they caught a matinee and they got done eating and playing all that stuff. And so they got done earlier, right? And so I heard the key hit the door and I'm like, and I had music playing, but I heard the key hit the door. And I'm like, and clearly, if I had a thought, and I'm like, who was that? But there was only one other person that had the key to my house. It's either me or my husband, right? So, but I didn't think about that. I'm just like, but I'm listening. And although I knew it should have only been my husband, I wasn't sure because I wasn't expecting them back home so early. So I kind of just poked my head around from the door, because also our bedroom, okay, so you come in the front door, there's the bathroom, but also beside our bathroom, our bedroom, my husband, my bedroom was like right there. So I just kind of like stuck my head back a little bit just to see, who was coming. I didn't like feel afraid or anything, but I'm like, I'm not expecting them back so soon, So I don't know why I thought somebody else would be coming in, but it was my husband. But what happened was, as I'm standing back, like kind of peeping my head around the corner to see who it is, I see them. The door is opening, it unlocked door, but it's opening slow, and that really kind of threw. I'm like, why's the door opening slow? So I'm like, okay, who is this, right? So the door's opening slow. As I'm standing over here, looking back, peeping around the corner, the front door is opening slow, like slowly opening it, like somebody like trying to. They doing just like that, and that threw me off. I couldn't understand why my door was opening so slow. But it was my husband. It was my husband and our two boys at the time, Elijah and Jeremiah. And James' head was at the top. Elijah's head was right under James. And they both, like, this James' head, this Elijah's head, they both peeking in. They're pushing the door open slowly. And I'm standing back down the hallway looking like this. They pushing the door open slowly. And they doing like this. And when I realized it was them, I'm like, and they're like, oh, man, they did like this. I'm like, what is y'all doing? And they just started laughing, and Elijah was like, I told you. He's like, oh, man. He's like, give me my money. Give me my money. I told you. I'm like, told you what? What are y'all doing? He said, Dad bet that when we come in the house, you was going to be in the bathroom again. I had faith in your mom. I didn't think you was. So give me my money, Daddy. He was like, oh, this one time you not in the bathroom. And I'm like, yeah, you freaking rock. And I was like, that's why you told me not to go take a bath here. Although he didn't tell me, he like, look, your husband and your son plotting on you. They got a bet going on. He didn't tell me all that, right? He's just like, look, don't go in the bathroom yet, right? I'm like, you know what? How freaking cool was that, right? Even my own husband and son is plotting. That was something. It was nothing vicious or anything. But even in that, Yahuwah was teaching me how to hear his voice, right? And that really impacted me a lot, because that's not the only time that he's done. I have multiple, but that's like one of the ones that I really, really love, because that's when it really became like solidified, like you really be telling me stuff. Like you literally like give me inside information. Like let me know. It's like insider's trader information, right? Although he may not give you the details of what's about to happen, he give you just enough just to get you to the point of you seeing what is about to happen, right? And kind of keep you ahead of the shenanigans. I'm like, you know what, Father, you freaking rock. Like, you my deuce. Like, I'm like, ugh. And it's like, man, can't nobody tell me nothing. Right? He didn't help me develop listening and hearing his voice, and it saved our butts in business and everything, right? We done got business dealings where you wouldn't like exactly detail not exactly detail. I kind of seen the gist of it, but when it's me and my husband together, I got to pass that information to my husband. And since he's the face of our company, he's actually out there. He has to actually put it into practice. And one time he did. I'm like, babe, listen, and it cost us. It cost us dearly. We lost one of the biggest contracts we had, right? And that year, this was the early 2000s. This one contractor, we would have contracted one of our biggest clients. We was easily netting from them $300,000 a year. We lost them because we didn't. I'm not gonna say my husband. I'm gonna just say we. Right? We did not follow Yahuwah's instruction, and we struggled. I ain't gonna say we struggled. Yahuwah still took care of us, but that was a lesson well learned. It was a lesson well learned because that company, although it wasn't our only client, that was our biggest paying client, right? And the biggest paying client who was easy to work with. And if ever we were running short on payroll, they would advance us some of our contract money. We never had a problem. But during this time of growth and dealing with money, who was teaching us about money and how not to be running after money, and because people can be, if they don't get this part taken care of in their life, they should not lead a congregation, a church, or anything, because if you don't get this money thing under control, you will have a purchase price, right? So we've dealt with a lot of money in our younger years. So people say like 10,000, 20,000. That's like, okay, what is that? Our payroll is more than that every 2 weeks. That's like nothing to us. But we had to grow in stages, and we began to handle big amounts of money to where different things, it's like you can't be bribed, right? So there's something, if people don't get that money thing under control, you can be easily bribed. Somebody just got to offer you the right amount of money, and then you can begin compromising, right? You have to really, really be careful about things like that. So he taught us how to hear his voice, even in things like that, and dealing with our business, because this is our business. This is how we take care of our family. We have a freaking huge family. Nobody's going to pay us enough working a job to where we can take care of our household and the things we need to do, right? Now, that's like really, truly living by faith, because it's not a steady job. We have to work. We have to make sure we're doing stuff. Okay, this contract, make your paperwork, babe, this. You got to do your part out there. I got to do my part in here. Like, you literally have to work together, because if we don't work, our people don't work. They don't eat, right? And it's gotten even a little more hard since the pandemic, and although things have slowed down, and it's like, Father, our trust is in you. We just kind of go through these things and, just kind of tighten up stuff. And, so we learn how to hear his voice. And when you learn how to hear his voice with smaller things that he's dealing with you with, when you have bigger things where you really need to hear from him, it's not so hard to hear. But if you're in a habit of ignoring his voice when things are small, even if like, look, don't go take a bath, don't go get in the tub yet, right? If I had to just go get in the tub, like all of these lessons I could have been missing, and I would have never known. So what if I had went and got in the bath? What if I had not listened to y'all and had went and sat in the tub? They would have came in. Oh, I told you, you always in the bath. I was like, with y'all. I would have probably did something like that. I would have completely missed the lesson that Yahuwah wanted to teach me, and I would have never known that there was a lesson there for me to learn. Like, it would just kind of come around again to where Yahuwah trying to teach me again. So I realized how important listening to that small voice and small lessons can be, even when the lesson comes from my children, even my 4-year-old child, right? Or sometimes, but sometimes kids say the darndest things, like, you know what? Father, that wasn't her that said that. You said that. I'm listening. I'm so sorry. She is absolutely right, or he is absolutely right. And you when you have those moments with your children, you know that those are those moments, and that was Yah speaking directly to you, you rebellious parents, right? So when we go through those things, we learn it really take those times seriously, right? Because those little small things are gonna be really beneficial to you as you grow, right? You may not be able to see it right now, why it's so important to listen and obey, or hear and obey over here when things are just smooth, small, ain't nothing. But those, if you learn how to do it here, and you take along those teachings and those principles with you, you'll be able to stand strong when it gets here, and your faith won't be shaken. When things seem or look tough, right? Y'all got me. He always had me, right? It may look like this, but I'm not wavering. My faith is not shaken, right? Because he's always proven himself to come rescue me. He's always proven himself to come deliver me, right? At any given time, right? So some lessons we had to learn the hard way. Sheesh. If I had to do it all over again, I absolutely would. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing because it helped me. I wouldn't change a thing because I'm teachable and I learn from my lessons. That's why I say that, right? I ain't like Keisha. Keisha be getting stoned, and I don't like to get stoned, right? I like to learn from my mistakes, and I like to learn from your mistakes to help me not to make that same mistake, right? So that being said, y'all, all right, let's go ahead and end this video. We literally like 2 minutes away from the 2-hour mark. Y'all, it's Sunday. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I know I rambled on a lot today. But it is Sunday, August the 8th, 2021, day 227 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 896. Guys, we read Ezekiel 7, 8, and 9. And we read Fossilized Customs, page 292. All the way, and I put it, I think it was 295. Let me just put, actually, I think it's 290. Let me just put 293. She moved my book again. I don't know what she did with it. I'm going to check it. But if that's wrong, I'll fix it in the description box. But anyway, y'all, let's go ahead and do the blessing, y'all. Let's go ahead and do the blessing. Remember, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is a Nazarite vow. Remember, we have updated the blessing to its more accurate rendering. So that's how we're going to do it. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Y'all, every time I read it in its most accurate rendering, I almost get choked up. It's so good, y'all. It's so good. It's so good. All right, y'all. And I'll post it. Look, I'll post it here. I'll post it. When I can start making little posts, I think, you know how some YouTube pages, people can like do actual posts. I got to find out, because I'm like, how do I do a freaking post? Because I wanted to actually post it so people can see. I know I typed it out, so I'll type it out again in the comment section and pin it so you can actually see it or whatever. But I be wanting to like post it in there, but I don't know. I need to figure it out. I don't know. Maybe I'm not doing something right, or maybe you got to have I don't know, certain amount of subscribers or something. I don't know. But I got to figure it out, because I actually want to take it and post that in there. But what I'm going to do also, in my about section, I'm going to go adjust my about section, and I'm going to put it in my about section too, right? So it'll be there. I think everybody just needs to know that. Listen. Let me just read that part again. Will kneel. It's like, think about, it's like imagine your father like coming to, it seems more loving and more intimate, right? Think of like if you're in trouble, or you just need to talk to your father, your mother, and it's not like they lower themselves to their level, but them in all their strengths, they get down on their knees so they can bring you eye level to them and let you know, yo, I got you, right? It says, Yahuwah will kneel before us presenting gifts and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. Y'all, that's so good. It is so good. All right. That being said, I love y'all. And my phone is about to die. My community section. Okay, I'm gonna check it. You probably need a screencaster software. My husband says so. Okay, I see your message. Okay, send me a message on Facebook. Did I get it? I'm gonna have to check it, Kurt. No, I'm gonna go check it. All right, y'all. But my phone is literally about to die on Facebook, so I'm gonna just end it here everywhere. But I'm gonna check into that screencaster and see how to do it. But thank you, everybody. So I'm gonna check into it. All right. Yes. Praise. Yeah. All right. Love y'all. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning. 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tomorrow we'll be looking out for the new moon, right? Because we know a new month is about to start. But all right, y'all. I love y'all. I see y'all in the morning. Peace.